Welcome to a special edition. Tonight we interview Michael R. Duncan. His aspiration is to become the next councilman for a district which encompasses the Rockaways, parts of Queens, Laurelton, Springfield, and of course we have him as a special guest. He's Jamaican. He's been here for several years. And of course it is a delight that we interview him tonight. Welcome, sir.
Good evening and thank you.
Your aspiration to become a councilman. Some people say, where did this audacity come from? Tell us.
It's basically out of service to my community. I never view myself as a politician. However, being involved in the community, you saw that politics is something that control a major aspect of our lives. And it is my thought that anything that control our life, we must seek to get control of it or can have some effect on it. So I then decided to get into this political realm and run for the seat of the 31st Council District in Queens.
Now, you migrated from Jamaica how many years ago?
1978.
Where in Jamaica are you from?
Constant Spring in the Shortwood area.
No, everyone comes from Kingston. That's what you're trying to say here.
I lived at 3B Shortwood Avenue, Kingston 8.
It is always good to do a litmus test with a budding politician.
Of course.
You had no intentions of being you didn't plan to be a politician, but you found yourself in a situation where the next level of service is to be an elected officer.
Of course. All
right. Now, of course, where would you say your preparation for this office comes from?
Just being involved in the community as a community activist. In this community here, I serve the youth of Southeast Queens. I currently run a youth soccer program for the last 18 years in the Rosedale area. And serving these youth, you saw the need for certain services within our community. And I saw that these services were not being addressed. So I decided to get my hat into this realm.
Now, of course, you mentioned about the whole situation of serving the youth, which is a significant component in our community. As you are aware, if the normal unemployment rate is 7%, well, in our community is 18%.
Of course.
So your idea and your ideas in serving the youth started first with sports.
Right.
Tell us, elaborate some more about the importance of sports and the youth, especially in communities of ours.
Yeah, in my program I can speak specifically. Most of the youth come to my program thinking that they're learning about soccer, thinking that we're only going to be teaching them soccer. However, we're teaching them a way of life. We're teaching them how to coexist with the other members of their community, then preparing them to be better citizens of their respective communities.
What has been the success ratio, or I shouldn't say ratio, but what has been the success of the programs over the years, and how many youngsters would you say you have impacted, and how do they in turn?
Yes.
Because the important thing here is not just what they learn, but how do they now use that to not only influence others, but give back to the community?
The beautiful thing I saw is last year, 5 of my players, the 18 years old, were given Division I scholarship, soccer scholarship, to the major universities here in the States. And it's an admiration to see that. Most of these players were 18 and 19. They come back each summer to serve the 5 years old, the 6 years old, and they are planning on taking over the program. So I can see from our commitment into our community, into our program, I have seen where they have benefited from the help that was given to them.
Did you ever play soccer?
Yes. I played at the high school level and just coached thereafter.
So you're living vicariously through the youngsters.
Exactly.
Which is a good thing. Because I imagine when you look back and you see your work and see what they are now doing, it really makes you go on even more, doesn't it?
Right, yes.
You know,
and the soccer it's just, I'm a person, I don't smoke, I don't drink, I don't party, but I do soccer.
You do soccer.
And on the weekend, it's just soccer. After work, it's just soccer.
Back up now. You don't drink, you don't smoke, but you do soccer.
Yes.
Not a bad phrase. You should coin that in your camp, about your campaign.
Of course.
Now let's go back. Now you have an account. You have an accounting degree.
Yes.
Why accounting, soccer, politics? So give me the connection there now.
Well, basically, I graduated from Baruch, so with an accounting degree. For years, I ran my private business as a small business controller. I still do that in a certain sense, but I limit the clients I take on. As I said, I was just thrust in this area, seeing the need for service into my community, and got into soccer and saw that there was a need to actually serve. Before I came to Rosedale, I was serving in a community, coaching in a community of Bensonhurst. That's in an Italian neighborhood. And I saw these people, these Italian men, coming out for their community. And while it was good to serve there, I realized that we needed the same program in Rosedale here. And I remember the first day I brought my son and told him that we're going to play soccer in Rosedale. And when he saw the soccer field in Rosedale, he really didn't say anything because he has respect for me as his father. But I could see in his eyes, like he was saying, "Daddy, for real?" But you know, I told him that it's our duty to invest our time and our efforts in our communities to make them better. And that's how I got involved serving from that level.
You notice I want to touch on the real politics side because I'm trying to build a foundation here to see exactly the type of, I want to say now, what do you bring to the table?
Right.
You're also involved in the Parent Teachers Association. Tell us about that and how that, how that helps to position you to where you are now.
Yeah, so my thing, if you really look, if we really expect for our children to play a major role in this society, education is the key. Education not only prepare us for life, education is life itself. I realized that at an early age, the 4th grade reading level, based on our communities, they could tell how many of our children will be living upstate New York.
And for upstate New York, for the benefit of our listeners, it's something we call FedMed. It's not Club Med, it's FedMed. We're talking about jails.
Yes. And unfortunately, this country was built on the backs of slaves. And I view the prison complex system as the new slave plantation. So the program that I run and the activities that I get involved in into our school system is to make sure we bring forth program that's going to cut into the heart of that wicked system that seeks to incarcerate instead of to educate.
Now, the whole situation of after-school program, because again here, the foundation being built here, the importance of after-school education for children. Tell us about that.
You have to realize that after school is supposed to supplement what is not being taught currently in the school system. And if you realize because of the budget crunch, there is no arts, there's no music, there's no culture. Those programs are almost non-existent. So as an activist, and also when I become the councilman, I'm going to invest a lot of my expense funding into creating such after-school program, because it's very much necessary for the total development of our children.
Many a times we have seen you. I see the colors you wear, green, black, and red. The question lends itself now. You're obviously a GAVIite.
Of course.
Tell us about that.
Oh boy, I think that if it weren't for Garvey and his movement, people like me, I would not have been able to attend a university here. I would not have been afforded the benefits I have in this country and other people have in this world. I saw that the Garvey movement, honestly, it is the only movement that truly worked for our community. It's the only movement that saw we have in our own chains of supermarkets, our change of restaurants, cleaning business and everything. And since the Garvey movement, we haven't seen that. So I'm saying that some of Garvey principles, we need to practice a few of them, especially the principle of self-reliance, which we need to build and defend in our communities.
No, of course, the whole aspect of Garvey, and we're talking about Marcus Mosiah Garvey,
right,
Jamaica's national hero. His impact on you, at what stage in your life did that becomes a reality for you?
It's straight out of high school. Being a young man in high school, I really didn't like reading. Didn't like reading at all. But after high school, I remember picking up one of Garvey's book. And when I start reading about the contributions he made, I just got highly interested in reading and just constantly reading. And as I read more and more, I realized that I looked at the sacrifice that Garvey and people like him made and realized that I, as a person, have to find a way to give back to my community.
So it's really about giving back, Michael?
It has to be. Making our communities better.
Okay. I'm not being cynical here now. There are people who say that you go into politics talking the way you're talking now. But when you get there, it's a different situation because the realities of the existence of the political process is something that is quite different.
Of course.
Than where you are now.
Of course.
No, of course we can't say that. We can't look into your head and say, well, this Michael is going to write himself a check for $500 million from poor people. But the point here is this, is that what is it that drives you, right? Are you spiritually motivated? Where is what is your belief structure here? Because sometimes that has a lot to do with how a person perceives life. Because as you know, people are looking down and saying, oh yeah, there goes another guy again. Tell us all these things, and when he gets here's another story. What do you think causes persons going into the office to change their focus?
You see,
what do you think causes
because that wasn't their focus from the beginning. In this line of work, I am grounded. They said, by your work, people shall know who you are. I gave to the soccer program before parents could afford to pay for it. I financed the soccer program. Mm-hmm. I've been doing immigration work, processing immigration papers and forms since I was 19 years old. Mm-hmm. Given because I saw some of my fellow Jamaican citizens who could not read and write, did not understand how to process these papers. And I realized it was my responsibilities to process these papers. Mm-hmm. You saw Christmas and the Rockaways. Mm-hmm. We think that Christmas and the Rockaways is still over. Last week I gave out 3 computers. Honestly, I didn't give it from my pocket, but the good Samaritans out there, they want to give back.
Based on your influence.
Yes. Tomorrow, I still have to go buy 2 coats for a lady because we promised her the coats. She did not get the coats. We have to deliver. You see, I'm not a politician, and I'll never be a politician because politician makes decision based on politics. What we need grassroots activists who will rise from among the people, where the people become the base from which they stand, and then they can support the community. As I said, if I wanted to be a politician so bad, I would have gone and see the support of the powers that be, because I wouldn't have to be here begging people to support me. But I realized that if I get the support of the powers that be, I'm not going to be able to truly support my people and defend my people. So my thing is, while I'm doing this, is to develop a sense of fellowship among the people of our community, hoping that we can build a base from which all of us can stand on. The greatest thing about the Rockaways, Christmas and the Rockaways, is that people who came and gave, they trusted me because they saw 18 years of experience. One lady called me and said, the Friday before Christmas in the Rockaways, she said, Mr. Duncan, I have some gifts and I have some things to give, and I don't want to give it to the big organization. I want to give it to you.
You know, and you refer several times to Christmas in the Rockaway. You must let our folks know the whole idea of what Christmas in the Rockaway was, a concept that you came up with that basically provided for support, food and gifts for persons to enjoy Christmas similarly how we would in the Caribbean.
Of course.
Right? And it was a successful endeavor. So when you hear this Christmas in the Rockaway, that was a brainchild of yours. Now, you know, I brought you to that level, to that discussion, because yes, there's a lot of cynicism, and there's a lot of folks say, yeah, he talked the talk. But you brought out a good point here. You're actually begging people to support you. When I say begging,
right, I am.
As opposed to a guy comes with a big check and say, here you go, because then you become beholden.
Yes, yes.
But really now, let's get real here now. Do you think that will be sufficient to get you to the office, or you are willing to make that sacrifice and that risk to maintain your integrity?
Yeah, you know, if the people can't get me there, then I don't want to be there.
I want you to say that again.
Yeah, if the people cannot get me there, I don't want to be elected. I have served in the political arena. I have been a chief of staff. My friends, I was fighting to stop a federal prison from being extended, from being expanded in Springfield Gardens. And when I reached out to certain people to help, they could not help me because the powers that be told them not to get involved. But as I tell you that, I'm a GAVIite, and GAVI came for the people. I am here for the people. Therefore, it is our job to try to organize these people. I see everybody else making the move to strengthen their communities, and I don't have a problem with that. But we need to strengthen our communities. We need to leave strong institutions here. And why I feel that when I get elected next month on the 19th of February, the next day after that, I have already identified various institutions that are doing good service in my community. And I'm going to make sure we fund those institutions so those institutions can stay strong, that even after Mr. Clare, we're gone, those institutions are here to serve.
You mentioned about our community being organized, and that seems to be the Achilles heel amongst us. We seem to have we have the numbers, but somehow we have not managed to motivate them sufficiently to necessarily augment what you're talking about.
Right.
How does Michael R. Duncan plan on lighting a fire under the posteriors of our people to come out and support you?
It's very difficult. It's very, very difficult, and sometimes people may think that it cannot be done. All I can do is just do the best things I know to do, and hopefully these people will see true work, true commitment, and will want to be a part of it. But I don't know of any other way to motivate people who do not want to motivate. But another thing is that our people have been used to losing so much that they're thinking that we can never win. I don't know if you have heard about the famous Hot Sheet Motel in Springfield Gardens.
Yes, and let us define what Hot Sheet is. Hot Sheet are those motels that necessarily
the sheet never get cold.
The sheet never gets cold because of the turnaround.
Exactly.
The absolute turnaround, and it's usually a part of what we call the sex trade, which of course has its own negative impact on our community.
And Mr. Clare, when I took up that fight to stop the Hot Sheet Motel, some of the other elected officials in the community told me, you're wasting your time. It's a done deal. But it should never be a done deal when it's pertaining to our children, because you can judge a community based on what it does for its children. And for us to allow that millionaire to put up that brothel in front of our children, it would be a disgrace on us, Irwin. So we had to stop that. And I and my community put everything into it to stop that motel. And right now, if you pass by Springfield Boulevard and North Conduit Avenue, you will see that it's a chain of stores
that is being put
instead of the brothel.
All right, let's see now. Okay, tell us what are your main campaign issues you are campaigning on, because we don't have a lot of time left. Tell us what are some of your main campaign issues you're campaigning on.
One is education. As I said, education is a key link to economic strength, and I don't think we as a community, we put too much effort in it. I see most of our children hanging out. 50% of our boys are finishing high school. You can't prepare a people who are failing school and expect that we're going to have strong communities.
Right, so we have education.
What's education? Another thing, self-reliance.
Okay.
Self-reliance in the form of businesses.
Okay.
We need to be able to stimulate businesses within our communities. If you realize that the dollar is spent in our community at 9 o'clock in the morning, and it leaves by 5. In other communities, The dollar spends at 9 o'clock, it stays in their community 22 days. So we have to find those two key things, education and economics, that will help us to give us that self-reliance that we're looking for. Third, with that comes people power. If you realize what made Christmas, and I go back to Christmas in the Rockaways again, what made it possible is that we were able to bring out 120 volunteers, organizing people, making people feel the passion that I want to be a part of this. That is the difference, my friend, that I'm bringing. I have been doing all these things and I will continue to do them. The thing that the city council seat will make a difference for me is that now we will have a budget to do these things on a larger scale.
Right. Let me answer this now. I'm glad you mentioned budget, because all these nice things you're talking about now, it's not going to happen unless you, and we're talking about those who are watching now who have a commitment to this man, make a contribution. So the question lends itself. If you're not going to accept money from the big guys who can just flash a check and there's no skin off their teeth or whatever, then it's talking about the people power, the President Obama mechanism. So the appeal now is for you to tell those folks watching us how to get in contact with you, why and how to send money to help Michael R. Duncan become the next councilman for the 31st District in Queens.
The first thing I have to remember, the election, there's a special election called for the 19th of February. What that means that within the next week I have to collect 3,000 signatures, which is more important than anything else right now, because usually you only need 900, but because I'm running the way I'm running, some people believe that I talk too much, and therefore they're going to make it their duty for me not to get on the ballot. So instead of only getting 900, I'm shooting for 3,000 signatures. So this Saturday morning, next week Saturday morning rather.
And the date? That would be the 11th, the 12th?
Yes, the 12th. If you have time, I'm going to be petitioning all day. Please reach out to me. My number is 347-528-4479. I need your help. If we want to stop having politicians who are not making decisions on our basis, we need to get involved and we need to choose somebody from our ranks. I would like to be that person. I would love to have your support. I will serve this community and make sure we build a base that other communities can emulate. Again, my name is Michael R. Duncan. Thank you for your support.
And you're running for?
Councilman for the 31st Council District in Queens. That is Rosedale, Springfield Gardens, Laurelton, and the Rockaways. Again, you can reach me at 347-528-4479.
The voice of justice in our community, Mr. Michael R. Duncan, as he runs for the councilmatic seat, the 31st District. The special election takes place on February 19th. You've heard him. If you're moved, if you're impressed, which I hope you are, then you reach out and give him support. As he says, on Saturday the 12th of January, the whole situation of getting signatures, because one of the mechanisms that the system uses is to knock people off the ballot. So therefore, you're knocked out of the race before you're started. So although his 900 signatures are required, he's shooting for 3,000. That will secure any challenge will not take him off the ballot. And of course, if you wish to reach him, 347-528-4479. My name is Irwine Clare, and the gentleman I interviewed tonight will be the next councilman of the 31st District in Queens.
Again, Mr. Clare, thank you very much for having me.
It's a privilege, sir.
Thank you.
Best of wishes.